Welcome, December 10th, 2025. FOMC meeting is over, markets are closed. FOMC did give us the quarter point basis cut today. I've been scouring through charts for the last hour or so, and I think I'm a little nervous that FOMC is not going to get us out of this market funk that the market has been in. If you don't know what I'm talking about is the never-ending failed breakouts, the stuck in consolidation, the stuck in bounce ranges that so many stocks and indexes have been stuck in for weeks, if not months at this point. I can only imagine if you're not an extremely disciplined trader, and I have been a very disciplined trader these last few weeks, and I thank my lucky stars for that. But if you haven't been, I can only imagine the pain you must be feeling with the amount of losses, etc. This is no beginner's market right now. Since I've been trading, this is some of the hardest markets for sure. However, with discipline, with being very selective on what charts you're watching, being very careful to take the very best trades, it's okay. I mean, you can come out of this okay. I know I am, so it is possible. So we're looking here at the SPY daily chart. As you can see, we're just below all-time highs, but an FOMC did give us a nice green day. But are we out of this range that we've been in? No, not really. I mean, there's some hope. Maybe we do break over 689, get a higher low and break out. That would be the hope. And if I was going to trade the S&P 500, that's probably the trade, probably really the only trade I would be interested in if I were going to trade it. So just break out over 689, higher low, continue. If it just stays here, why would you want to trade this? Why would you want to trade if it just stays in this? I can't imagine why you would want to. I know I don't. So I would only wait for a very clear breakout. None of this, what we see on so many stocks right now. Attempted breakout, straight back down. Attempted breakout, straight back down. So you got to really, really be careful right now. I'm going to go ahead and skip QQQ. It's just pretty much the same thing. We'll take a look at IWM because IWM is interesting. That's the Russell. On IWM, we are actually broken into a new all-time high with FOMC today. So that looks great. We didn't fall back below the all-time high before market close. So that's great. So what do we look for going forward? I think the best case scenario would be a pullback to 252.80, the previous all-time high, and then continue higher. We could also just, break right over yesterday high a day, get a higher low and continue higher. If we come back into this range, don't touch it. End of story. If we fall back below the previous all-time high, do not touch this thing. Look for something else. Don't touch it. While this isn't financial advice, I'll just say I'm talking to myself here. Moving on, let's take a look at Tesla, which has some interesting stuff as a possible trade. Earlier on Tesla, this was all the way up. It has pulled back some, which gives me a little bit less interest in the trade. But let me switch over to the hourly. What I would like to see on Tesla is if we just pull back to this 450.65 level, catch a higher low, and continue on back up towards the all-time highs on Tesla. I would also be willing to entertain the idea of a higher low over yesterday high a day. If we fall back below 450, back below this area, I'm just going to step out of the way. No need to get involved with that. Moving forward, let's take a look at Meta. I had really had some hopes for Meta, and I guess in some ways I still do. It does still have a chance here, but Meta had that announcement they were going to do a 30% decrease in spending on the Metaverse. I mean, that's really what investors have been waiting for on Meta. And I hadn't yet looked at this daily candle. I actually like it quite a bit. So maybe there is some hope here. Unfortunately, though, on FOMC day, we went ahead and closed this gap up that we had from that news. We do still have this earnings gap way ahead of us, and we have just made pretty much a straight up vertical to the upside move from this low down here, which is cool on Meta. Um, and if we were going to pull back, this would be the spot to pull back to. That's 647.81. We do have this hammer dojiest candle right here. So what I would be looking for going forward on Meta, here's best case. I'm not going to call it base case, but best case. We break back above this previous gap level, 653.25, and continue back to the upside. That's what I hope happens. What I don't want to see is us getting back below today's low a day or yesterday low a day tomorrow. Um, don't want to see that at all. So if that happens, I'm stepping out of the way. I'm not saying short it. I'm just stepping out of the way. And if we can get above 653.25 though, with a higher low, I would be interested in quite possibly taking that long, seeing if we can get back up towards these 250 SMAs up here. If we can break above these up here, then it really becomes interesting for possibly closing that gap to the upside up there. Moving forward, let's take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft has been a disappointment. All right, Microsoft daily chart. Microsoft was making this good progress here. Maybe we're going to make some type of daily double bottom or daily inverted head and shoulders and get a reversal here. And that's what's building out. But today's price action on Microsoft was disappointing. We opened with a gap down, and instead of filling that gap, we had a gap down and go to the downside. So boo on that. Going forward, what I would like to see, what I would like to see is we break back above this 483.15 and fill this gap and continue back to the upside, double bottom, inverted head and shoulders. The alternative option here, let me switch back to the daily chart. Alternatively, um, you know, I probably wouldn't trade this to the short side unless, because we got this 200 SMA right here, and I don't want to short into that thing. It's held 1, 2, 3 times. Yeah, the more times we hit it, maybe the less chance it has a holding, but I don't want to trade short into that thing, not at all. So, higher lows above yesterday, high day, fill that gap. Until otherwise, I'm not really interested in longs unless we can break above this level, which I'm trying to read. I think it's 493.25. And otherwise, if I was going to short it, I wouldn't even think about it until we got below that 200 SMA. Probably even below this 468. Um, Otherwise, just within today's range, I wouldn't touch it, obviously. And that's kind of the options with Microsoft there. Moving forward, let's take a look at Google. If I can type. Google stopped. Yeah, near all-time highs. Yeah, we have a gap below that has been absolutely unable to fill. I It's stuck though. It's just totally one of these stocks just not moving. And we didn't get any kind of massive, we got to move up on it today, but it wasn't any kind of massive move that makes me think we're about to be unstuck. However, higher lows above 324 to the long side, very carefully. Watch out for something like that to happen, something like that, because that's what's happening in this market. And you just gotta really, really, really watch out for it. You can even see this gap, or no, it never even got into this gap. So if it does, maybe a lower high into the gap, respectful of this 20 SMA. To fill the gap, and then we go higher, something like that. That could be the case. I'd be very careful about shorting Google, though. Despite it not moving, it does absolutely have relative strength. It's, through much of selling it, it never went down really. So it's obviously displaying that it has some major strength in terms of holders, not in terms of like actually going higher, but when market selling and it doesn't go down, that's relative strength. All right. Moving on, let's take a look at the Apple chart. Apple, we've had some moves. It's been stuck for a few days here. Uh, Ideally, we would want this 277 level to hold. It is holding so far. We would have really liked to see a higher low and just continue like that, but that's just not the way the market moves right now. So makes it much harder to trade. But higher lows over 279.45 could be good to the long side. I can tell you, me personally, I have not been trading these big names. I've been looking for charts that are clearly moving, um, and trading those, such as charts I've traded a lot lately, Walmart, Disney stuff. I haven't been trading the Mag 7s because when they do move, it's been a false move so much. I mean, you can just see it on this Apple chart. Look at all these wicks on these dailies. Like, uh, it's, it's been too hard to trade these. Too much fake outs. I have traded AVGO a couple times. Caught a pretty good one on that, and maybe we'll go ahead and look at that chart next. All right, this is the AVGO daily, and this chart looks great. It really looks good. Um, Absolutely good. And when I said I traded it, what I traded was the pullback to 372.25. I traded long from here. Boy, do I wish that I was still holding that trade. But I never hold trades too long. I think that's something I need to work on, is probably buy more positions and sell positions as we continue up, leaving at least one runner a little bit better than I do, because I mean that would be just massive at this point. However, we're at new all-time highs with FOMC today, broke out of a 2-day balance range, looking good, closed near the highs, great strength. So how could you get involved from this at this point, since we are breaking out of such a good big range? Generally speaking, that would mean that we have quite a bit of room to move to the upside. And so with that theory, what I'd be looking for, Pullback to 407.25 would be best. And, just look for like hammer candle. God, this is the best looking hammer candle ever. Or something off of this 407.25. Use that, break of that high, and then you go long. The alternative way to go long here, and I would be willing to do this, even though it's more risky, I would be willing to do it on this name. Higher low over today's high day, yesterday high day. I would absolutely be willing to do that with relative strength and, the broad market at the same time. I would do that. Uh, Moving forward, let's quickly look at the NVDA chart. It's one of the worst offenders right now of this junk that I'm talking about. You wouldn't catch me dead trading this chart right now. Look, this chart looks so, so bad. So unbelievably bad. No way am I trading this thing. It's got to get like way out of this funk area and start acting right before I even think about trading it. I have no ideas on it. No, I'm not trading it. Decent to watch though, because it does move the market when it moves. Um, Moving forward, let's take a look at Palantir. Palantir does not look too bad. Cut this low, nice hammer candle at 152.50, has moved pretty much straight up since then. So going forward, we're just breaking above this previous bounce range over here, so that's cool. We're moving into some cleaner, thinner price action structure up here. That's cool. I like that. That's all very good. Um, so to get involved at this point, what I would want to see would be pull back to this 187.25 that holds hammer candle, something like that. Catch along from there, and then, looking to head up towards this gap up here. Uh, let's zoom back out to the daily chart, see what else we can gather from this. I would even be willing to say pullbacks, you know, somewhere around there would be okay to go long. I really like the idea of the pullback to 187.25, 187.25 holding and continuing long from there. And the reason that I like that is because if you look further left on this chart, it's because it's outside of all this junk right here. Like, I don't want to trade inside that. So that's why catching higher lows above all that is best for the cleanest type of trades. And in this kind of dangerous market, you want to probably stick to those type of rules. Moving forward, let's take a look at another awesome chart right now would be MU. MU, awesome strength. Looks like I kind of need to clean up this chart. I have way too many lines down there. But it looks like it's got new all-time highs on FOMC today. We're breaking out of this previous range. Nice big vertical moves. Closed near the top. All good, all good, all good. So to get involved, pullbacks to 260.50, catch it there and continue higher. Higher lows over yesterday, low a day would also be acceptable. As far as where would I become disinterested in this chart if it were to pull back? I probably wouldn't lose my interest until we got below here. That in mind, I would probably even be willing to entertain the idea of pullbacks to 247 as well. So pullbacks too, 247, 255.40, 260.60, or a higher low over yesterday, high a day. Any one of those, I would be willing to take that trade under the right circumstance. Hammer candle holding, broad market moving up, stuff like that, relative strength, just the conditions of the market matching the trade idea at the time of that the trade setup forms, really, is what I'm talking about. So other trade ideas that I am watching for tomorrow's market um, would be a continuation of a trade that I got into. I didn't get into it today. I got into it. I actually entered it at the end of the day 2 days ago. So, and that is Disney. And so what I'm saying is that I got into this trade. I got into it yesterday at the end of market. Yeah, at the close of the day. And it was based on a hold of this 106.85 and this acting as a higher low right here. Closed above it, jumped in, and I almost was about to exit today because, this is basically my stop was the low of the day. I was just thinking, man, this trade ain't gonna work. And then it turned around and moved straight up to this gap. So what I'm hoping for, it did stall out at the 250 SMAs here. What I'm hoping for, though, is that this 108.85 acts as support and we continue back. If I were going to get involved, though, as a new buyer, I would not get involved until we have a higher low above the 200 SMA right there. That's probably going to be a little bit further down tomorrow. It's probably going to be like right here, and it'll be just inside this previous gap. You could really just, I think the easiest way if you don't have the 200 SMA on your chart, higher low above today's high day. And there's a big gap right here that needs closed. Um, huge gap. Not saying that's going to happen in one day or even two. Nothing like that. I'm not even saying we're going to get back into this gap tomorrow. We did reject the daily 200, but if this 108.83 can hold and we can pop back above the high of day today's high day with a higher low, I would think that we close some more of this gap and get some more movement to the upside. So Disney was a great trade today. Awesome. Um, Next one, let's take a look at Costco. I think this has an interesting chart. Zoom out to the daily and let's look at 5 years of data and really zoom out on this sucker. What do you see here? We're on a major cliff on Costco. A multi, I don't know how long ago this was, because it doesn't show the year right here or whatever. I'm not trying to figure it out, but it's quite a it's a very long cliff, at least a year and a half or something like that. Um, and that cliff point is 873.50 basically. If we fall off of this cliff, what happens? Well, gravity is going to hit Costco in theory, and it's going to be in trouble. So if it falls off the cliff, it's in pain. It's hurting, okay? This is all thin structure right here, so it shouldn't be hard for a price to fall through that. The next levels I have down is a level at 857.50 and then 821.50, 804.75. These are levels that are very old. Do they still matter? Maybe, maybe not. The dotted line is not as strong as the solid lines, so I would give less credence to that 857.50. If we fall off, how could we play this? maybe one way would be wait for a daily candle to close below this level and then work from there. Another way would just be a lower time frame, lower high. Obviously, the probabilities aren't as high with that one, but that's generally how I do it. Because that's failed breakouts can happen that way, but with a lower high, that should help with the failed breakout, but not always. Um, so that's how I would get involved. If it's gonna bounce back up, whatever, I just stay away. I'm not much of a bounce range trader, so maybe it does catch support at this 873.50 and it moves up a little. Very possible. I won't be getting involved in nothing like that though. But falls off the cliff, it could be in trouble. Next, what I'm watching tomorrow is going to be Equifax, EFX. Um, the reason I like this trade is we got this bounce range and then we got thin structure over here to the left-hand side. We got some gap there too as well. We do have this simple moving average to contend with and respect, but the idea is if this is a base that's being built out here, and we did get this nice strong candle today on FOMC, if we can break above this base, which is 216, and catch a higher low to the upside, then, maybe a quick scalp to, uh, you know, a quick scalp to the top of this red candle here, the bottom of this base here to the upside. Uh, might be decent. Respect the simple moving average right there. Let's take a look at Roblox. It's going to be a short trade, RBLX. With Roblox, it's already in a daily downtrend. Looks like FOMC day, we rejected the 200 simple moving average, blew right through this other simple moving average. Heading down to the downside, we do still have this uptrend line that has not been broken that you do want to probably pay attention to right there. Hasn't been broken yet, but any lower highs below today's lower day, I might start targeting something like this, which would be 89.15. I'd be open-minded to that trade for sure. If it if it does anything else, I'm probably not interested. If it does anything else, I'm probably not touching it. Okay. Uh, next TWLO, and I can't think what that is right off the top of my head, but it caught my interest in some scans, and that's because it looks like it had earnings gapped up, pulled back, supported off simple moving average, moved up, caught another higher low, and then now is moving back to the upside, and we haven't even broke through the previous high yet. And there's a gap to close right here. So what I'm thinking on this is if we can get above today's high a day, above 136 and get a higher low, maybe, just maybe, we break into the gap instead of rejecting the gap, and we can make it up to 141.20, little scalp to the upside, hopefully. If it does anything else, I'm not interested unless I would consider if it's supported at this 131, 131.95, if it's supported there, I might consider taking a long off that. All right, moving forward is going to be Walmart. I like Walmart right now because, well, look, it's had this parabolic move to the upside. Another one where I didn't hold runners. I did really well on Walmart on this move up, like super, super well. But I sold because my mind told me it can't keep going higher, but did it? Oh, it absolutely did. Anyways, is it double topping? or is it a bull flag? Well, to me, it looks more like a double top right now. So what I'm looking for is a lower high below the neckline of that double top. 112.90 lower high. Then I would be looking to target 111. If it doesn't support there, then I'll probably be stepping out of the way between 109.55. I'll probably step out of the way by 109.55 because well, if it doesn't support there, I will definitely step out of the way by 108. Okay. So lower high below 112.90, basically looking for a pullback on Walmart so that it can catch a higher low on the daily chart and then in theory continue back to the upside. The ideal higher low location on the daily chart is either going to be 109.50 or 108. So yeah, I'll probably, looking at the daily chart, I'm going to step out of the way at that 109.50 if I do end up shorting this double top. Um, and once it gets here to 109.50, I'm looking for signs that it's going to support there. Hammer candle, whatever. There or here. I'm looking for signs that it's going to support there, catch a higher low, and then continue back to the upside. And then maybe on that run, if that run does happen, I'll be better about holding some reps over a longer period of time. And then the final trade idea I want to take a look at is TTAN Titan. Let's see this daily chart. Basically are getting this bull pennant here. Basically have a bull pennant. Got this big old flag. So we're looking for a break out of this. Safest way to do that would probably be a higher low above 111, targeting up towards 116, if not 119.50 and beyond. That is all the ideas I have for right now. I know I haven't been putting a lot of videos out the last week or so, but please like and subscribe and comment and all that fun stuff. I will see you on the next one. I'm out.